Alright, let's get out of Lothering. This place sucks. Quest completed. What did we complete? You have traveled past Lothering and are now on the Imperial Highway, which runs through all of Ferelden. It will take you to the places you need to go. The Redcliffe, Brazilian Forest, Circle of Mage's Tower, and the Dwarven City of Orzammar. The Blights. So we have these 4 quests. Going to speak to Arl Eamon. We can have him help us with political stuff against Loghain. Finding the dwarves. Finding the elves. Getting to the circle. So we actually have a couple things to do first before that. We can actually mark active quests. But no one cares about that. Oh, damn it. I didn't mean to do that now. Damn it. I was going to be stuck there. Can I unmark it? I've never marked anything. Damn it. Alright, let's just leave. It's important to note that at a certain point, you can't come back to Lothering. And that point is once you complete any of the early sections of the other main quests. So if you go to the Circle Tower, Lothering will be gone as a part of the story, and so on and so forth. Oh, let's be quiet. That's a big Dargon. Starbucks!
Bad dreams, huh?
Whew, must be something I ate. It seems so real, man.
Well, it is real. Sort of. You see, part of being a Grey Warden is being able to hear the Darkspawn. That's what your dream was, hearing them. The Archdemon, it talks to the Horde, and we feel it just as they do. That's why we know this is really a blight.
So we get visions. I think Alistair mentioned that when we had our joining. Yeah, we get visions as a result. So that's clearly the dragon. Are these dreams going to be happening a lot?
It takes a bit, but eventually you can block the dreams out. Some of the older Grey Wardens say they can understand the Archdemon a bit, but I sure can't. Anyhow, when I heard you thrashing around, I thought I should tell you. It was scary at first for me too.
I appreciate you telling me.
That's what I'm here for. To deliver unpleasant news and witty one-liners. Anyhow, you're up now, right? Let's pull up camp and get a move on.
So, this is our quest. I mean, not a quest. This is, god damn it. I was reading the quest at the top. This is our camp. In the world of Thedas, we have a camp. So basically, our camp is up here. It's up in the top right. I don't know where this is in the world. It really doesn't matter. Basically, we can camp anytime we're on the open map or anytime we leave one of these areas. So this is Lothering, Flemeth, Ostagar, Kakari Wilds, Brazilian Outskirts where the elves are, Circle Mage. This is where we started the game, actually, in the prologue. High Ever is like somewhere up to the north, between Denerim and Ban Loren's lands. We have, get out of the way, Frostback Mountains, which is where the dwarves were. This is DLC. This is Redcliffe. So, we're here in Lothering. The closest place is Lake Calenhat or Redcliffe. Well, actually, the elves are the closest, but this is just to let you know where we are. This is where we go to heal our injuries. This is where we go to talk to our party members. There are certain very specific cutscenes that only happen in this part of the game, but we're gonna take a second to kind of talk to everyone. This is gonna be our talk to everyone episode. I'm gonna guarantee you that's what it's gonna be. Sometimes talking to people has extra interactions because they're at camp too. So like Dog will talk to people at camp because he's being a dog. There's no items around here to loot, I'm pretty sure, and you can get a really nice shot at the moon. The moon is weird looking. I don't like it. It's also really close. But, you know, and the camp always stays the same. No matter what area of the country you're in and decide to camp, if you do it next to the mountains, next to the forest, next to a river, it always looks like this. So, just so you keep that in mind. We're going to save. It's also interesting where they put all the characters. You have Alistair and Liliana, the kind of like lawful, neutral, not lawful good characters, or at least neutral good characters, around the main campfire. Sten kind of standing over here. Morgan all the way over here. Like, just cementing the idea that, like, yeah, she likes keeping to herself. And she has a bunch of like little stuff here and items and scrolls and potions. Basically does her own work over here. It's so far characters have to pop into the environment. Most people hang around here. And Dog is... I like the way our Dog is because it makes me think that he's guarding the entrance to the camp. And he's a good boy. And these are DLCs. Well, he's DLC. Those are the guys we just saved. So we'll talk to them in just a second. We're going to talk to Dog first. Bark.
Oh, why, you little...
What? What happened?
Your furry friend here took offense at me getting near his food. He snapped at me, look.
Don't do that. You can play this any way you want. Be on the Dog side. Go against Alistair. Hey, listen, there's hardly any blood drawn, you're fine. But don't do that to Alistair, he's our friend.
Sometimes I forget that he's a war dog. That'll teach me.
Dog just has like little banter with people. There's not too much going on, honestly. So let's let's just go ahead and talk to the people we saved. They're the most important ones right now.
Ah, it's good to see you, my timely rescuer. Bodon Feddick, at your service.
Hello.
Once again.
Hi, Bodan.
I saw your camp and remember the kind offer that you made the last time we met. And is there anywhere safer for a poor merchant and his son to sleep? I think not. I'm perfectly willing to offer you a fine discount for the...
Oh, cool. So these are your resident merchants. Boden's going to travel around with you when you're camping. So that way he can just stay safe on the roads because it is dangerous and you're a Grey Warden. So you're the best equipped to defend yourself from Darkspawn. And also, you saved his life, so he's going to be our merchant. So if we ever need something, we need to sell something, we can get it from him. All right. Were you following us?
Following you? I'm not even certain where you're going, my friend. And quite frankly, it's none of my business. Trust me when I say that my encountering you here was serendipity and nothing more. I travel a lot, so I'm bound to meet everyone on the road eventually. If
I guess so.
I'll take my boy and be on my way. But regretfully, you're the safest spot on this road, without a doubt.
All right, you're free. Just, everyone here is from a different place. Mind yourselves.
Wonderful. Thank the gentleman, won't you, boy?
Thank you, sir.
We won't be able
He's so
to
cute.
you and your companions, I assure you. If you should need enchantments, simply talk to my boy. Otherwise, come speak with me.
All right. So let's speak to the boy and learn about enchantments.
Hello.
The boy's a bit simple, but he's rather good with enchantments. One of those tranquil fellas actually called him what was it now? A savant. I had no idea such a thing existed.
So, again, being a teenager when this game came out, Sandal is a bit of a savant. He's very good at this particular skill. The Tranquil we meet at the Mage Circle, they're so good at their job because they're so objective and they can pay very fine attention to detail, because the enchantments is basically layering over specific runes of magical ability and minerals into weapons and items. That's very dangerous because Millennium itself is a very, it's not radioactive, but it has adverse effects of it if you touch your skin directly. It's why normally dwarves only do the enchanting. Tranquil can do it because they lose the connection to magic, and they're so detail-oriented, but dwarves have an innate resistance in their body. So he can do a lot of enchanting. So we don't want to do enchanting right now. We're done with that. So we know we can do enchanting. Bowden.
Your friends are formidable folk, indeed. It's good to have you along on the road.
So what's your story, guys?
Well, if you're really interested, I suppose it wouldn't hurt to tell you. I am originally from Orzammar, the famed dwarven city that lies beneath the stately Frostback Mountains. I was a merchant there, too. Merchant caste. These things are in the blood, you know. You can't just leave them behind. I ran a fairly successful business. Rare artifacts, you know. Old things, grand things. The nobles loved them. Reminded them of the lost glory days, I suppose.
Go on. I want to, keep going.
So, as I said, things were going well. But good things must come to an end. One day, a noble woman came to my store. She looked around for a bit and then started shrieking in dismay. Apparently, she believed that a pair of braces I had for sale once belonged to her brother. He'd been lost in a cave-in, you see, while on an expedition to clear out the Darkspawn from one of the tunnels running close to the city. They were made specially for him. They're unique, she shrieked. He stole them from my poor brother's corpse. She had me arrested on the spot, of course. Nobles, they're touchy like that.
I mean, I can understand why she was upset.
Well, I didn't steal them. You see, I'd been paying these castless thugs to venture out into the deep roads for me. The lost tigers. They're full of things that
So
people
basically,
left
he sent a bunch of
behind.
scavengers to get
Sometimes
stuff,
you
probably
can
found his
find
body,
treasure.
and brought him back the
Something
bracer.
worth a little gold.
I guess it's better to do that with them than leaving this around. I see.
The noblewoman, she wasn't too happy with the theft.
I mean, it's not stealing if he's dead. It's grave
What
robbing.
they planned for me?
But what if he doesn't have a
I
grave?
want to find out.
And it's just
Right,
robbing?
I
Wait.
was watching me and took off for the surface first opportunity I got. Never looked back.
Oh, that's a good story. Well, here you are.
Yes, here I am. Now, is there anything the boy or I can get you?
Well, you didn't actually mention your son in the story. What's up?
Ah, yes. I'm married to a fine woman back in Denerim, it's true. She'd give me a son if she could, but that's not likely to ever be. Sandal here. I found him in the deep roads years ago. Abandoned, I think. And he was never quite right in the head. I took him in, and I brought him with me when I came here to the surface. He may not be my blood.
Oh, that's sweet.
But I think of him as
Bodan, you're a weird character.
You left Orzammar.
That's right, boy. Maybe one day we'll see it again.
Probably not, actually. Orzammar, we'll learn about it later, has a weird tradition where they take being born underground very seriously, and as soon as you go topside, unless you provide a very valuable service of like trade back and forth, once you go topside, you're foreigner at that point. Like, you got exposed to the outside world. You're not the same. You're a surfacer. It's a really weird part of their culture, and it's why their culture is kind of dying, because they don't let anybody inside from the outside, or they don't think highly of them. Hey, that's really cool of you.
It's not as if I don't benefit, mind you. Turns out the boy's a natural working with enchantments. He might have even been lyrium-addled. I never thought of that before, to be honest. Happens sometimes. He can work an enchantment into just about anything, however, given some time. Could probably open his own shop, if he knew how.
Enchantment.
Well, he does seem...
Oh, Sandal, you were so beloved by the fan base. So where do you get your stuff, though? Not the deep roads, right? You don't go there.
We don't rob people, all right? We don't take things from people that need them.
You sound really defensive, man. I just asked you a question.
What good did they do lying there? I brought them back to Orzammar, where people could look at them and remember. It's not all that different up here. There are places long abandoned by the humans everywhere. Even more now with the Darkspawn coming.
I guess so. But what do you mean more recently?
People flee from the Blight with good reason, but they forget things. Things with value and meaning. They leave them behind because they're frightened and desperate. And sometimes, my boy and I, we find our way to these...
It's very opportunistic, Bodan. That's really messed up, actually.
These things.
Your merchant is kind of a dirtbag. He's a nice guy, but, like, his business ethic is kind of weird.
They touch.
I guess so. Like, he's right in that the Darkspawn will just burn everything down. So I don't know. It's a weird gray area of him doing this. But I guess it's better, but you know it's not going to last forever. You're going to have to find a better way to make business eventually.
No, of course not. And when it ends, I will go back to finding ruins. Or move on. I don't really have much of a choice.
I would at least offer a discount to people who like, hey, that's my stuff. I know that's easy way to be taken for a ride, but at the same time, it's like, what happens if that happens again, like in Orzammar? It's going to look bad. Oh, and Bodan can give you rumors about stuff in the world and stuff that is a result of your actions in the world. So let's say, hey, what's up?
Some folks aren't happy about Tern Loghain being named Regent. There are rumors he had something to do with the king's death. Isn't that the most ridiculous thing you ever heard? The Darkspawn killed him, sure enough. If Tern Loghain couldn't save the king from that inn, then nobody could. That's what I've heard on the road, anyhow. Take it for what it is.
So that's actually a really good point and this is one of the most interesting points in the Dragon Age origin story, in which Loghain's betrayal, or even if it is betrayal, his departure from the battlefield is so heavily contested among people in universe and the fandom. I personally am on the side, and we'll learn more about it. I'm on the side that even though Loghain did something somewhat heinous and cowardly and opportunistic in a way, once you get to know Logain a little bit more in the story, like, it's not something he would have done if he had a choice. He really made the decision, you'll find out, from a tactical point of view. Like, it's a real gray area. But, like, what if Logain had tried to help and then he died too, and then the other half of the army died? Like, what if that was the case?
I'm sure you'll be...
So we got Sylvan's Mercy, which is a really good staff. We don't really need it, though. We already got a Viridium staff. Some other good stuff here. Blood Dragon Plate. We have the chest piece they give us for free from the DLC. You have to buy the rest of it. But we can't even really wear the rest of it, so it's not really important. Let's see here. We got a lot of good stuff, to be honest. Black Metal Torque for our dog. Let me sell all my junk. Okay, we got some stuff here. The Spell Word. It's a lot of good stuff, but we already have really good DLC stuff, so it's not really necessary. We got Tome of Arcane Technique. This lets us learn a talent or spell, so it's only for us. And this is for Warriors or Rogue. Now, we have a lot of money, so we're just going to buy this. Bam. And how much health potions do we have? Greater, 14, 9, 6, 2. We're kind of okay on injury stuff. And I'm going to sell this. This is for our dog to eat specifically. It heals him, and I think heals his injuries. Let's see. And it cures a single injury. It's basically a specific dog item for healing. That way he doesn't have to use potions and stuff. Or these. It's not really necessary. It's just a fun little thing. These are a bunch of gifts we can buy. And a backpack. So yes, we will buy the backpack. And the rope necklace. There's no reason not to buy a lot of the gifts. Unless you're short on money. And then that's about it. There's not too much more we can throw. We're probably going to throw this on Alistair's sword. Is there anything else we can sell? Not a whole lot. I'm not going to be using traps, I'm sorry to say. So we won't be really doing anything with that. We have a lot of stuff. I'm going to try and get rid of it as best I can. Enchanter's Footing. Restriction for Mage. Leather Boots Cured. Cured regular. Chainmail. Studded leather. Unfortunately, we just have... I wish I had an inventory box. Unfortunately, we don't get one until the DLC. So we'll have to work with that later. Do I still have junk? No, I don't. All right. Let's use this item. Where is it? I forget where it is. Here it is. So we're gonna get a free point here and get a new spell. So honestly, I want to use this opportunity to pump the staff basic ability, because we just want to build up so to a point where we can just start using abilities. So we want to just get rid of stuff that we're automatically going to grab. So our base attack power is going to go up. And we can do that because we have money. Isn't that fun? Alright, let's talk to this guy before we kind of address the rest of the party. And we're going to try and talk to everyone at least once. And then probably move on to the next area, which is a DLC area. So let's talk to Levy. This is a DLC character.
You're a hard man to find. Where are my manners? The name is Levy. Levy Dryden.
Hi, Levy.
Did Duncan ever mention me? Levy of the Coins? Levy the Trader?
You knew Duncan?
Oh, yes, for years. Considered him a friend, I did. But here I am carrying on while you have a blight to stop. Don't want to waste your time. But you see, Duncan promised that together we'd look into something important for the Wardens. And for me. But poor Duncan's... well, no more. A tragedy it is, at that. But I know he would want his work carried on. His pledge fulfilled.
Okay, how did you know Duncan?
It's a bit of a tale, that is. But I'm the one who brought the Grey Wardens back to Ferelden. Well, I was one of the ones. There were a lot of us. Maker's breath, I'm a bit nervous. Honoured to be here, really.
Okay, we're kind of going to skip a little bit of it, because this is kind of going into the backstory of the novels. If you're really curious, you can read. I recommend the books. They're pretty good. But we're just going to get straight to it.
My family, well, past is a bit checkered, to see. No, look at us with disdain. My great-great-grandmother, Sophia Dryden, was the last Warden commander of Ferelden back when the Wardens were known as freeloaders. So King Arlen banished the Wardens, and he took House Dryden's land and titles.
Oh, that's a bit drastic, isn't it?
And then some. Not much is known about that time. After King Arlen died, there was a civil war, loads worse than this one. And our family was on the run, hunted by enemies, with nary a friend in the world. But Drydens are tough. We rebuilt, became merchants, and we never lost our pride.
Wow. So what did you ask for from Duncan?
I asked for the truth. My family reveres Sophia Dryden. We know she died at the old Grey Warden base, Soldier's Peak. We want evidence to clear her name. It won't restore our land or our titles, but it'll restore our honour.
I've never even heard of the place.
Well, no one's been to Soldier's Peak since Arlen's days. At least none that's come back. I spent years mapping the maze of tunnels to the peak, and I found the way a few years back. So I went to Duncan, I did, and I said that he could reclaim the old base and my family could have its honour.
And Duncan died before he was able to help you, unfortunately. So how's this going to help us as the Warden?
Soldier's Peak is strategic and symbolic importance. Duncan said that it would be worth it right there. He also hoped to recover lost Warden history and perhaps a few old relics. No one knows what's up there now.
So what do you need from me exactly?
I can pick my way through the tunnels at the base of Soldier's Peak, but the place, well, they say it's haunted.
And spirits exist in this world, so it's probably actually haunted.
Will you think on it at least?
Alright, well why didn't he help you himself at the time?
Darkspawn surfaced in southern Ferelden, and Duncan got plenty busy recruiting new wardens and meeting with good King Cailan. Duncan said he would help after the Battle of Ostergar. Said there might be useful things at the peak, but he never had the chance.
Alright, let's go, man.
1,000 blessings upon you, Warden. I'll mark down the location on your map. When you arrive, we'll pick our way through the tunnels together.
So, we are not going to go there for quite a long time, let's be honest. We're not going to go there for quite a long time. The area is very difficult as far as DLC is concerned. There's some really good items and abilities there, but we're going to take our time getting there. We're not going to quite make the journey just yet, quite honestly. So, eventually we will go there. Some really good stuff there. It's good DLC, good extra abilities too, and we'll learn a lot more too. So let's just save while we're here. Alright, let's start with Alistair. That's a safe bet.
What do you need?
Let's talk, Alistair. What's
Ask
up?
away.
I think this one's good. So how did you become a Grey Warden?
Same way you did. You drink some blood, you choke on it, and pass out. You haven't forgotten already, have you?
That's very funny, Alistair. Thank you.
I do my best. What can I say? Let's see. I was in the Chantry before.
I'm also going for max approval with everybody
The
too.
Templar, in fact. That's where I learned most of my skills.
Yeah, you mentioned that before.
It's really for the best. I'm not exactly the Chantry type, if you haven't noticed. I don't think I would have made a very...
Yeah, you're kind of too nice to be a mage hunter and
Didn't
killer.
want to let me go. Duncan was forced to conscript me, actually, and was she ever furious when he did. I thought she was going to have us both arrested. I was lucky.
So why did she want to keep you?
I wondered that myself. It's not as if she valued me highly. I think she just didn't want to give anything to the Grey Wardens, is all. The Chantry didn't lose much. And I think I can do more fighting the Blight anyhow, rather than sitting in a temple somewhere. I'll always be thankful to Duncan for recruiting me. If it hadn't been for him, you know, I wouldn't have.
Yeah, he's still broken up about it. It's really weird seeing a character like this because he's supposed to be your buddy and the strong, like, leading male character of your party, aside from you, obviously, but he talks. You can really be mean about this too. Shut up, don't cry. No, it's nice from this perspective to have a leading male character that is, like, this is 2009, you have to remember. Not that there isn't good media outside of this game, but in terms of video games, Bioware to write a story in which a guy kind of really opens up about this, it can border the line between really being really whiny and being, like, really heartfelt. And before this, you had Karth from KOTOR 1, you had Atten Rand, who's a great character from KOTOR 2, you have Kaidan Alenko from Mass Effect 1 as well. So Bioware is pretty good at writing, like, your leading male character in your party. Alistair feels, like, really unique among them, because a lot of them, like, especially Karth and Kaidan, they feel very similar in terms of the personality. They even have the same voice actor, hey! But Alistair feels like a cut above the rest, not because he is better, but because I feel like there's a bit more depth to him, and that, like, Man, it's rare to see a character actually tear up during a conversation. So it's interesting, especially for me. Again, I have to keep reminding everybody, even if this isn't the first time you've seen something good like this in a video game, for yourself, this was very formative for me. So this is kind of like when I started learning how to write certain characters in terms of my own writing and what type of examples to look at. So Duncan was a cool guy.
He was. A good man who didn't deserve his fate. That much I'm sure of. Come on, let's go. I think I'm done talking.
Good work, we made him sad. +1? You suck. I'm sure we could have picked better dialogue options. Alright, let's try to talk to Sten. And again, I'm going to keep using the word try with Sten. See what happens. Alright, Sten.
Yes.
I have a question.
I am hardly surprised.
We're going to hear that a lot. Why did you come to Ferelden?
To answer a question.
What was the question?
The Arishok asked what is the Blight. By his curiosity, I am now here.
Oh, what's in Arishok?
The one who commands the Antam, the body of the Kunari.
So the Arishok, to help explain, because Sten is really bad at explaining, the Antam is the body of the Kunari. As he said before, it's how the Kunari reach out to the world. They're the eyes, the hands, the mouth, and so on. They're how they speak out to the foreign world outside them. The Arishok is the one that commands that body. And he says specifically command. The Arishok is most best known as a type of military general. And as we kind of saw before, the Kunari express themselves outwardly as conquerors. It's also something important to note that the Kunari are a very proud race. This English, this basic human English tongue they're speaking, isn't their natural tongue. The language he was speaking in the cage when we interrupted him, that's his natural tongue. So, for example, Kunari will not speak a foreign language. Traditionally, they won't, unless they have mastered it or understand it perfectly well. To do so and try to speak it without proper knowledge is shameful. To speak on any subject without proper knowledge is actually very shameful in their culture. And it's why Sten is actually really bad at answering our questions. It's because he actually doesn't know the answer. And when he's going to mention at some point, like, hey, why won't you tell me anything about your people? And he's like, because it's not my job. And he's like, what do you mean? He's like, I'm a soldier. If you want to learn about my people, you'd have to ask a Tamasran. A Tamasran is a teacher. So if you get frustrated with Sten, that's why. A lot of his character is, I don't have the answer. It's not my job to give you the answer. I'm supposed to just kill things for you. Why are we talking right now? But we can kind of get to know him better and push through this rough exterior. Okay. So did you find the answer to his question?
A portion of it.
Okay, what was the answer?
Were you not at Ostagar when the army was overwhelmed? That is your answer.
That's a good answer. So don't you have to report back?
Yes.
So when are you going to do that?
Never. I cannot go home.
Oh. He doesn't want to talk about it if you ask why not. Again, pushing Sten so far, you lose approval points. So cutting your losses with Sten is really great. Hey, you can stay with us.
Thank you. Can we move on? We keep the Darkspawn waiting.
Let's go.
As you wish.
We'll come back to you later, Sten. But we got a +12! We are killing it with Sten. We are absolutely murdering it with Sten. Let's see. Sten is right there at the middle. He's hot. He's our highest companion right now. He's our highest companion because we've been nailing his conversations. Man, I must have you in my brain, dude. I must have memorized that stuff because, like, he was the hardest to please. So as a teenager, I had to learn how to talk to him because he's just so hard to please. But with Alistair, I feel like I'm doing great. I'm probably good. I'm not. You know what? I'm not picking the most optimal answers. I'm picking answers that are good but not great. So that's probably why I'm getting +1s here and there. So we'll try and do better. And Leniana. I love Leniana. I talked about this when we first met her. Great character. We're going to explore her character. We haven't really gone a lot into her other than her belief in her religion. So let's get a bit more.
Yes?
I like to talk.
Well?
You notice at the bottom here, there's some options to say, like, can you leave, please? To certain characters. So certain characters you can just kick out. Almost everyone I think you can kick out. I think. I'm pretty sure. We'll figure it out as time goes on. So, Liliana, what was life like in the Chantry Cloister?
Quiet. It was a life suited for contemplation. In the cloister, away from the fuss and the flurry of the cities, I found peace. and in that stillness I could hear the Maker. But it was not perfect. Some of my chantry fellows were condescending. That is the nature of religious folk, I suppose.
Yeah. That's why I'm not particularly fond of them, is what I want Ren to say. But we also want some approval points, because we don't want to be down on religion in front of Leniana, at least not explicitly so. Not without some caveats. So, how were they condescending to you?
When I talked about my beliefs, that the Maker reveals himself in the beauty of his world, they treated me with disdain. They want to believe that he's gone, so that when he turns his gaze on them, it means they are special, chosen. He cannot possibly have love for all, the sick and the weary, the beggars and the fools.
So basically, in this world, God is absent. So it means that he turns away from humanity, which means his gaze now, when they say the phrase, Maker turn his gaze on you, it means that now because God hates humanity as a whole, has turned away from them, when he does give his attention, it means it's because someone has earned it. He doesn't just give it to anybody or everyone. But Leniana's view on her religion is actually a lot more like the Christian ideal that we have in real life, in which God loves everyone. Which is radical in this world, there's an interesting take on it. It's a weird mix of Catholicism, where you have to earn your forgiveness and confess, and you're not automatically stated as good or bad as in the Protestant religion of preordained determinism, or it's not determinism. It's where basically your value as good or bad is already predetermined. That's very Protestantism. But here you can still earn your way into it. This is super Catholic. So I actually prefer your ideas. I like the idea that he loves everyone regardless. It's a lot easier to live with.
Thank you. Maybe I am wrong. But it is the Maker's place to decide if I am worthy, not men, not the Chantry. But there is work to be done, and I have talked enough for now.
But +2? Dang it. See, this is why you gotta abuse them with gifts. Because they just won't talk. So Leniana's an interesting character because she's religious and devout, but she's not chained to the structure of her religion. If the Chantry is flawed, or if the people in the Chantry are flawed, that doesn't bother her. That doesn't ruin her sense of religion or spiritualism, which I always really respect people like that in real life, because people can be flawed. And being a teenager at the time I met Leniana's writing and character resonated with me a lot, because I had a very similar problem, where I found myself wanting to believe in a higher power, but I didn't appreciate the structure of the community-based religion around me and the flaws of historical context of religion. So that was always very off-putting for me, and it was very difficult to me to be a part of an organization until I decided I just wanted to believe in things in my own personal way and not necessarily have to join any group or adhere to any flawed moral lessons in outdated texts. Right? I just wanted to believe in good things and believe in the good things for the value of them, rather than because someone told me to, or because I might earn something as a result, or something like that. So, just a little bit of how I connect with Leniana. And how some people probably might. Morrigan.
What do you wish of me?
I'd like to ask you something.
If you must.
So, did you grow up in the Kakari Wilds?
Why do you ask me such questions? I do not probe you for pointless
She really hates when you talk to her. I'm just curious. Well, hey, you can probe me, it's fine.
Beg pardon then while I jump for joy. What is it you asked if I grew up in the wilds? A curious question.
I'm just curious.
Would you picture me?
I'm a curious
For
guy.
many years it was simply Flemeth and I. The wilds and its creatures were more real to me than Flemeth's tales of the world of man. In time I grew curious. I left the wilds to explore what lay beyond, never for long. Brief forays into a civilized wilderness.
And they never noticed you? Or do I want to ask if you kept going back? So you explored civilization, civilized wilderness. I left the wilds to explore, but never for long. I only went back and forth. But you kept going back to the wilds.
Would you not do the same? Your world is an unforgiving and cold place. The wilds I hail from...
That's true. I guess you did grow up in it, so it would be natural to you. Even if it's weird to me.
I had been taught, however, the truth of the civilized lands proved to be... overwhelming. I was unfamiliar with so much. So confident and bold was I, yet there was much that Flemeth could never have prepared me for.
That sounds like you. Trying to just push your way forward and trying to learn so much.
Equal parts daring and foolhardy, perhaps. Only once was I accused of being a witch of the wilds, and that by a chastened who happened to be traveling with a merchant caravan. He pointed and gasped and began shouting in his strange language, and most assumed he was casting some curse upon me. I acted the terrified girl, and naturally, he was arrested.
That was pretty quick thinking on your part, actually.
Men are always willing to believe two things about a woman. One, that she is weak, and two, that she finds him attractive. I played the weakling and battered my eyelashes at the captain of the guard. Child's play. The point being that I was able to move through human lands fairly easily. Whatever humans think a witch of the wild looks like...
That's true. They probably think it's really hideous and like a troll or something.
Trouble. There are things about human society which have always puzzled me, such as the touching. Why all the touching for a simple greeting?
I love this. I love how, like, because she's born outside of civilization with her mom, she's like, why the people touching each other so much? What if she's just a germaphobe? Where she's like, is it the touching? Like a handshake, you mean?
To begin with, yes. What is the point of touching my hands? I find it an offensive intrusion. There were many
that's funny.
that Flemeth could never tell me of. When to look into another's eyes. How to eat at a table. How to bargain without offending. None of these things I knew. I still do not understand.
I love Morgan's writer.
Told, but then I gave up long ago any hope of doing so. When I returned to the wilds last, I swore to Flemeth that I had no intention of leaving again.
So if anyone's curious, handshakes most likely go back to a time in which you were supposed to show someone else that your hands were empty and you're offering peace, and you're moving it forward to clasp theirs to equally sign that, hey, we're not going to kill each other. Most likely that's what it really goes back to. So if anyone's curious about why we actually do handshake, that's probably why. You can probably actually look it up somewhere. I'm probably wrong, but who knows? That's what I think it is, in my mind. But I'm glad you're here. You're nice to hang around. You're really funny. You make fun of Alistair. He makes fun of himself. It's a good duo. So it's nice to have you here.
Yes? Let's ignore the entire Darkspawn threat and the presence of a simpleton as your only other Grey Warden ally, then. Not that I lack appreciation for the intent of your comment. Thank you. Well, let's get on with it before the ground opens up and swallows us, yes?
+8. What am I doing wrong with the other two neutral characters? What am I doing wrong with these good characters? What's the matter with me? Am I some kind of idiot? What's wrong with me? I hate myself. Who's our weakest right now in terms of like who likes us? Morgan's just beating out Alistair barely. Leniana hates us. Stan and Alistair are pretty equal now. I bumped him up for some reason. Leniana hates me. Let's give it. We have a little bit more time in the episode. Let's talk to Leniana one more time. See if we can get anything good out of her conversation.
Yes?
I'd like to talk to you.
Well, here I am.
So, question. You're really good at what you do in terms of fighting. What were you doing in Lothering's Chantry, someone like you?
What is meant by someone like me?
You know... Sanctimonious preacher. They don't teach you to fight in the cloister, do they? That's what a character really means, but... You know... You're very beautiful and charming, and this is what's going to raise your approval. Also, I do like you.
And there were no beautiful, charming women in the cloisters, you think? You would be wrong. There were many lovely young initiates in the Lothering cloister, all of them chaste and virtuous. It added to their mystique. Because then, they were forbidden, and forbidden fruit is the sweeter, no?
So can we go back to Lothering now? They can't have been nicer than you. That's what they say. What about your fruit? Is it forbidden? That's kind of forward. Hey, see, I wish we didn't have to flirt this hard with Leniana to begin with. Like, I wish it was just a bit more natural, because, like, we're coming on really strong. And I'm like, I feel like I have to, because all my half responses before aren't getting me anywhere. By the way, if you flirt with Alistair as a girl, Leniana's bi, Alistair straight, excuse me, sorry. Leniana's bi, Morgan is, blah, 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 blah. is hetero. Thank you. Why has that word gone to me? Both Alistair and Morgan are hetero. There are 4 romancers in the game. 2 bi, 2 hetero. And that's how that works.
Flatterer. I, however, did not take vows, and so perhaps I am not as enigmatic? The Chantry provides succor and safe harbor.
Something about the word
to all
sucker that just hits me
seekers.
hard.
I chose to stay.
Sucker punches me.
I'm affirmed.
Ah, okay, really. What's affirmed?
We affirm our belief in the Maker, in Andraste and the Chant, but other than that, there are no vows taken.
Oh. So everything you learned here, that was from before the Chantry, right?
I was a traveling minstrel in Orlais. Tales and songs were my life. I performed, and they rewarded me with applause and coin.
Hey, that sounds
My
fun.
skill in battle? Well, you pick up different skills when you travel, yes? Yes, of course. Let's move on.
That totally wasn't deflection. +6! That's what I want to see. Now she's... I don't know. She's fighting. She's fighting to stay in there. We got a codex entry on Liliana, though, so we learned a little bit more about her time. She's a bard. So she's doing bard things. Alright. So, next episode, we're not going to go to any of the first 4 environments, or, sorry, quest triggers. We're going to go to one of the DLCs, and we're going to get an early party member from the DLC. So that's going to be fun. I'm going to have fun doing that. I hope you have fun doing it with me. Who said that? Was it you? We should probably get rid of our inventory. I'm going to see how many things I can try throwing out. Or maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just be a dumb idiot about it. I'm going to get rid of this chainmail. I'll see you guys later.